Hey guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. So I figured I'd share my thoughts about, because April is Autism Awareness Month, so I share my thoughts about my own disabilities, my own neurological disorders, and talk about, my experience with autism and how it shaped and transformed my life, my experiences with it, the lessons I learned, all of that. I figured I'd talk about that in this video. So yeah, without further ado, let's talk about it then. Okay, so I was diagnosed with autism when I was very young, maybe like 2 years old, 3 years old, around that age, I had trouble pronouncing certain words in our English language. It wasn't until I was 4 years old I could pronounce at least 2 words from our English language, legibly. It wasn't until I was like in 3rd grade that I could pronounce words that can be found in using basic words from the dictionary, and use those words in sentences, and coherently use those words in sentences. It took even longer to learn about stuff like interacting with other people, social skills, to properly interact with others, It's a lot of stuff I had to learn by myself, and it wasn't all that easy, honestly. Easy was definitely the last word used to describe my learning process with all this stuff. With autism, it was harder for me to understand all this stuff. It took me a long time to understand all this stuff, honestly. Interacting with other people, learning about social skills, all of that. That took time, it wasn't easy. But it was worth it, in my opinion, honestly, learning about all this. Yeah. Social skills, learning about all that, learning about like practical choices, this is stuff I basically had to learn by myself. I had to pretty much get clues, get hints, form my own deductions based on my experiences, environmental factors, the influence of other people, past experiences, other people's reactions, their expressions, their tones, basically this is all stuff I had to learn by myself, learn about all this with autism, having to understand that there are some things that I should do, some things I shouldn't do in public, it's a lot of stuff that I had to learn by myself. It wasn't all that easy in school, honestly. Like in school, like no one was like making a huge issue out of it, saying, "Oh, you have autism, you're a moron." Like no one was like saying that to me directly, at least not in elementary school, middle school. But I was learning a lot of stuff, and I was gaining a lot of experience, and I was slowly understanding stuff. This is a learning process that took time. So yeah, from kindergarten through 8th grade, I had no problems at all. I had a paraprofessional from kindergarten through 12th grade. From kindergarten through 8th grade, everything was fine, in my opinion. I don't think there was anything wrong that happened, at least not from what I remember. From kindergarten through 8th grade, everything was fine. But then my 9th grade year started at Tauntonville High School in 2011. That's where I started having a few problems. I was in this program called the Institute. It's an advanced high school course load, like taking AP classes. So I started out my high school career with this in the Institute program, and I mean, as much as I would like to say that I was able to tough it out and stay in the Institute program all 4 years of high school, I just couldn't do it, honestly. It was just too difficult. It was way too hard. I was having difficulty understanding the stuff that was in the class. I was having trouble paying attention. It was a lot of stuff that I basically this stuff I didn't understand, and after 2 weeks I had to drop the course. I had to drop the course and switch back to the regular mainstream schedule. It didn't work out. It was disappointment. It didn't work out, And it was unfortunate and everything, but, it is what it is. It didn't work out, so I had to accept it. Eventually I got over it and I moved on, So that was the first red flag, I guess. But then my 9th grade year continued. It was pretty boring, I would say. It wasn't great. It was okay. It was pretty boring. I didn't really talk to a lot of people in 9th grade, it was all right, in my opinion. It was okay. But then my 10th grade year started, and that's where things started to go downhill. A little bit, and I had some run-ins with students in the hallways and classrooms, with some other students at Tauntonville. I was not exactly getting along well with other students that were there. Some of them anyway. Some of them, like, referring to me as, like, "Oh, look, it's the retard," some stuff like that, and obviously this is pissing me off, because I'd never ever been referred to as a retard before my 10th grade year. According to our modern dictionary, the connotation of the word retard, the definition of the word retard, according to our modern dictionary, is a person with the mental disability, and that word is always meant to be used in an inherently negative manner, when describing people with autism. The connotation of this word was always intended to be offensive, Always intended to be offensive. It's seen as offensive in our modern society, and a lot of people obviously are not fond of people using this word to describe anybody, let alone people with autism, especially people with autism. It's something you never should do, honestly, in my opinion. But I made a mistake, honestly. I mean, I should have reported these students to a staff member. I should have said something sooner rather than bottling up my emotions and waiting until 11th grade to tell someone. I should have said something sooner about what I was experiencing. I bottled up my emotions, and that was a big mistake on my part. Then my 11th grade year at Taunville was when I finally lost my temper. I snapped at one of the paraprofessionals in a fit of rage, and, it was obviously I apologized for that afterwards because she I actually got along well with this paraprofessional, but that wasn't the end of my troubles. In 2014, in February 2014, which was during the second half of my 11th grade year at Taunville, we were doing exercises in gym class, and one of the other students there, there were three other students there when the two gym teachers' backs were turned, and one of them, tapped me on the shoulder in a menacing way. He did this full well, knowing full well I would be antagonized and provoked. So I started screaming, getting to a fit of rage, and, 3 staff members and a security guard physically had to hold me back. I was in a very negative place, and I had to do something about it. I wasn't easy to be around. These fits of rage became more frequent and constant. I started taking on other people I was close to, like my mom, for instance. I wasn't proud of myself then. But eventually, after these fits of rage became more frequent and constant, I finally reached out to a teacher from my middle school days, and I told him everything I had experienced and everything I had been through. And in response, he gave me some advice. He said, forgiveness is like setting a prisoner free and finding out the prisoner is you. And it wasn't a one-time thing. It wasn't very easy. It wasn't something that was like so simple, but I tried my absolute hardest, to forgive and let go and move on with my life. And it worked. My 12th grade year, my family noticed a change in me. I joined more clubs and activities. I got involved more with other stuff that was going on in my high school. I passed the trigonometry regents during my 12th grade year at Taunville, which I'm definitely thankful for. I definitely went through a major transformation during my last year there, and I'm definitely thankful for that. I definitely learned a lot with my disabilities. I gained a lot of experience with autism, and I'm definitely thankful for the experiences I had. While I would not have chosen to be autistic, I would not have chosen to be on the autism spectrum, I did learn from it, and I'm definitely thankful for that, for sure. I'm definitely thankful for that, without question. But yeah, it's all I have to say, honestly. A lot of stuff to get off my chest. These are my thoughts about Autism Awareness Month, Never mistreat people because they have autism. You could be easily underestimating them. They might have more potential than you think. Never underestimate people with autism. But that's all I've got to say, honestly. Another video on the Taunville Legend 826 channel. Stay safe, everybody. Taunville Legend 826 out.